What up, nerds? It is I, Ruben, with Nerdspace Games, here to talk to you guys about Resident Evil and the future of the franchise. Not just RE9, but future remakes, future movies, a couple other different projects. And the reason why I'm talking about this right now is because there's been a post from a somewhat reliable leaker. I say somewhat because he has gotten a lot of things wrong. He's got the things right, though. But he's probably one of the most reliable leakers that we have to talk about. And he actually did a post earlier today discussing the future of Resident Evil and his own personal speculations. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys right now is because I kind of took a couple different things that he said, some of the stuff that he mentioned in his post, and we'll get to his post and we'll read it in just a moment. But some of the things that he said got me thinking and has me speculating about the future of the franchise. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about what I think is going to happen compared to what Descalum is currently saying right now. So let's first read his post and then we'll start diving into the future of the franchise. So this is it right here. So he starts off by saying, so here's some educated speculation, but it is speculation on how I personally believe Resident Evil stuff is going to go down in the next couple years. So Screen Gems, Constantine Films have a contract that to retain the rights to the Resident Evil brand for filmmaking, they need to release a new Resident Evil film every 5 years, fiscal years. So the new Resident Evil film, directed by Zach Krager, I think that's how you pronounce that name, that starts filming pretty soon, basically needs to release before the fiscal year of 2026 is up, since Welcome to Raccoon City released in 2021. Now, it's been heavily rumored or leaked that this film is an adaptation of Resident Evil 0 with Rebecca and Billy starring in it. The Switch successor is also on the cusp of being revealed, likely released this year. I think it's highly likely that Capcom will strike a marketing deal with Nintendo on their big reimagining of RE0, and it should make a good entry point to the franchise, the beginning of the story, and a big AAA game to release in the Switch successor's launch year. I do think RE0 will release on everything either at once or eventually. However, I think there's not a better time to release RE0 Remake than right now, as they can tie it in to the series' 30th anniversary as the beginning of the saga. Then tie it with the live action film that needs to release and be a bigger new AAA release on the Switch successor later this year. However, RE9 is also on the horizon, and I think Capcom wants to release it in 2026. Also big important information right there. This is fully up to Capcom, but I can see them possibly doing a 30th anniversary celebration with RE9 and RE0, the beginning and ending of the saga for this era of RE, a theme of beginnings and endings, probably the live action Constantine film, and I wouldn't be surprised by a CGI film tied to RE9 to come into it as well, and this functions as a sort of 30-year anniversary celebration to the series. We'll just have to see how Capcom decides to play it though. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there, but most of it is speculation, so I want to start off by saying that everything I'm about to say right now is also going to be speculation. This is kind of what I'm getting from what Descalum's saying, and this is also kind of going with what I think is going to happen, but there's also some key bits of information that I need to point out real quick. Firstly, this might seem pretty obvious, but Descalum actually confirmed something that wasn't officially confirmed last time he revealed that Resident Evil 0 is getting a live action adaptation. This time he confirms that Rebecca Chambers is going to be in it. Now, I went back to the old post and I don't remember Descalum officially saying Rebecca Chambers is going to be in the prequel, mainly because, you know, when you think about it, Welcome to Raccoon City kind of included all the STARS members and Rebecca Chambers was not mentioned in it at all. And he only specifically said that Billy Cohen is going to be in this live action adaptation. But this time, looking at this post, it looks like Rebecca Chambers is going to be part of the prequel to Welcome to Raccoon City, aka RE0 live action adaptation, which is fantastic because I really want to see Rebecca Chambers adapted into live action because we've seen so many RE characters already get that treatment. I mean, you got Leon twice, you got Chris twice, you got Claire twice, you got Ada Wong twice, you got Barry Burton once. It's unbelievable to think between all those live action adaptations, we haven't seen a Rebecca Chambers in live action yet. So this is pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about it because Rebecca Chambers is slowly becoming one of my favorite RE characters. She's probably in the top 3 right now, so I'm really hyped about this. Anyways, the next thing I want to go into is kind of talking about the speculation that this video thumbnail points to, and that is the whole, when are we going to see everything? What is going to be the first project that comes to fruition? When are we going to see RE9? Are we going to see RE0 first? Are we going to see Code Veronica first? So that's what I kind of want to talk about right now. And again, this is completely my speculation. So looking at how everything is playing out, this is what we know. First off, Descalum seems to think that Resident Evil 9 is releasing in 2026, and I happen to agree with him because we haven't seen anything on Resident Evil 9 yet, and we are now entering 2025. I do think we're going to see something probably in the summer of 2025 about Resident Evil 9, maybe get an official trailer, but I don't think we're going to see that game in 2025. It's going to be in 2026. However, what I'm more intrigued about is Resident Evil 0 remake, because this is interesting. I think there's a strong possibility that Resident Evil 0 may not release after RE9, that it might actually release before Resident Evil 9, which might be a major shock to a lot of fans of the series. Everybody seems to be thinking, oh, the next Resident Evil game, it's going to be RE9, obviously, it's 100% going to be RE9. Meanwhile, I actually believe that we're going to get another remake before we see RE9, and I believe it's going to be RE0 remake. There's a lot of things to kind of point to it. As Duscalum already pointed out, it is going to be the 30th anniversary soon, next year, the beginning of 2026, and Resident Evil 9 is releasing in 2026 as well. Then that game has got to go later into the year, so that way it doesn't collide with the 30th anniversary, when RE0 remake needs to be the focus for the 30th anniversary, in my opinion. Then when you take into consideration that the live action movie is releasing potentially in 2026 and it's going to be related to RE0 in some way, then you kind of see why RE0 should technically be the first Resident Evil game that we get before Resident Evil 9. I mean, there's so many things adding up for it. You have the new Switch coming out that apparently RE0 is supposed to be maybe an exclusive on the Switch, maybe a time exclusive on the Switch, but more than likely it's probably going to release on all consoles, but it's going to be the first Resident Evil game released on a Nintendo console. And I mean, like a release like day one on a Nintendo console since, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last time that happened was the DS for Revelations. So yeah, this is a pretty big deal, honestly. The only thing that sucks is that one of the rumors that happened like a while ago, there was a leak a long time ago. I don't even remember when it was. I think it was around the time Village released. But there was a leak that we were getting a Revelations 3 that was going to be a Switch exclusive. Well, this looks like that might not be the case, because I think RE0 might actually be what everybody thought was going to be Revelations 3. I think RE0 is going to release on the new Switch, the Switch successor, and that is probably going to be what everybody thought was Revelations 3. That was going to feature Rebecca Chambers. No, instead we're getting RE0 remake, which I'm totally fine with. I do want a Revelations 3. I do want to see Rebecca Chambers explored in a future entry, but I'm totally fine with an RE0 remake coming soon. And I'm excited for it, because RE0 is one of the games that is frowned upon by a lot of casual fans of the series, mainly because of the gameplay mechanics, the whole no inventory box. So I'm glad that RE0 remake is coming out and it has a chance to kind of make the fans fall in love with Rebecca Chambers all over again, because she has probably been, I mean, she's up there with Claire Redfield as one of the most underutilized characters of the Resident Evil franchise. As for everything else, like I said, RE9 is probably going to come in 2026, but I think it's going to come after RE0 remake. I also think that we're going to get that live action probably around the same time as RE0 remake. And I want to mention that Duscalum actually points this out, and it's more so speculation. He's not actually saying that it's officially announced or anything like that, but he seems to think that a CGI movie might be tied to RE9. So that might release a little bit after RE9, might be a CGI movie that follows maybe after the events of Death Island, which would be really cool, because the CGI movies are probably the best Resident Evil movies out there. When you compare them to the live action movies do not compare to it at all. So I'm very excited to see future CGI movies, especially if they feature my boy Chris Redfield and my girl Rebecca Chambers. I am all for that. But that's pretty much all I got, guys. Again, there's no official announcements here. There's no official confirmations. This is just pretty much speculation going on right now. I'm just grabbing a hold of a couple different things being said and then kind of speculating on my own. Code Veronica remake, I do want to go ahead and throw out there. Is probably the farthest along, like that's the thing that is farthest away from us right now, as that game doesn't seem to be talked about at all right now. I think we're going to get RE9. I think we're going to get RE0 remake. Both of those are apparently being developed, and their development's going to end right around the same time, in which Duscalum seems to believe that these games are actually going to be done around the same time, and it's just going to come down to when Capcom wants to release each of them, which is why I think we're getting RE0 remake first. But that does it for this episode of Nerd Space Games. Hit up the comments and let me know what you think about all of this speculation. Do you think we're going to see RE0 remake first? Do you think we're going to see RE9 first? Do you think we're going to see a different Resident Evil entry first before we see anything else regarding RE9 or RE0? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know which game has you the most hyped, which project has you the most hyped. Maybe you're more excited about the RE0 live action adaptation or another CGI movie. Let me know in the comments down below. But until next time, guys, I'll see you on the next episode of Nerd Space Games. Take care.